Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how I bound Marcus Aurelius Meditations to look like a notebook. Welcome to page Odyssey. Meditations is a classic philosophy book that got a lot more exposure in the past decades after more people got interested in Stoicism. This book is not hard to find. I'm pretty sure you can find a copy in any bookstore, but not this one. While looking for inspiration for typesetting and binding, I found this old copy of Meditations published in 1634. I liked its style, and that's what I wanted to try. My copy is not an accurate reproduction, but rather a tribute of this old style in bookbinding. Let's get to the video. Whenever I start a new bookbinding project, I rarely print directly from a PDF found on the internet. For this one, it was no different. I gave my typesetting treatment to make it more believable by using an old-style font and adding some florons and intricate initials. All that before imposing and printing. After printing the pages and reviewing each signature, it was time to prepare a coffee and start staining the pages. So here I prepared my workspace with vinyl just to protect my cutting mat, and what I'm going to use is regular coffee. And I took the filter and let the coffee inside, so I'm going to use it as my brush. So it's going to remain wet, and from time to time I will dip in the coffee and start painting and staining. While I'm doing this, you are going to see that there are some imperfections, there are some coffee blotches. The idea here is to be imperfect because we are trying to mimic the aging process, and the aging process is not something that is very precise. After the staining is done, it's time to dry each one of the signatures and the pages. And while drying, you're going to see that the stains become darker and giving it a more realistic look. After having all the sheets dried, it's time for folding the signatures. It's a very straightforward process, and it's going to depend on how many sheets of paper you choose to impose your signatures. In my case here, I have 3 sheets of paper for each signature. After spending some time folding the signatures, I put them all together to form the book block, and at the same time I review if the pages are in order. And then I'll put in a press just to press the pages together to pack the book block before we move to the next step. The next step is punching the holes in the signatures. It's a very long process, as you might imagine, but this is facilitated by this tool that I created myself. So you have a video in my channel so you can do your own bookbinding punching cradle. With the holes punched already, it's time to start sewing, which is a long process but a very relaxing one. So you take your time and sew all the signatures together. To make the rounded back of the book, I'm gonna use a technique that I learned, which consists in taking a cardboard roll from any paper roll. Draw 2 lines on the length of the roll and then cut. Ideally, the edges of the half roll should match the thickness of the book block, and the height should match the size of the cover boards. In this step here, I'll attach the cover boards to the rounded back. I'm using a 7mm spacer to help me with the task, and I'll tape the three parts together so they cannot move while I'm gluing the paper that will hold everything together. For gluing the spine, I'll just apply a generous amount of glue that will stick between the back of the signatures. Then, while the glue is still wet, I apply this type of fabric that looks like a cheesecloth, and then apply more glue and let it dry. For the spine ridges or hubs, which are those lumps in the spine of the book, I'll cut 4 5mm stripes of the paper tube left over. These are merely decorative, since I didn't use cords to sew the spine, but they give a nice old book effect when the letter is inserted. Here I made a little mistake that didn't leave much clearance between the covers and the spine when the book's closed, so I had to tear it down and glue the half row upside down. With the cover fixed, I put everything together with the book block in my finishing press, so I have a better idea where to place the ridges of the back of the spine. To cut the leather, which is salvaged from an old jacket from a thrift store, I placed the 3-part book cover opened and measured 13 millimeters all around. This is where I'm going to trim. This measurement is enough for paper, but I later realized with the thickness of the leather, it can be short to fold over the cover. One of the coolest parts of this process is when you attach the leather to the spine of the book. I start by placing it in the finishing press and then applying a good amount of glue. Then I place the leather centered and then I pull it down so the spine ridges show up. And finally, I'll use a bone folder to press it even more so the glue is completely in contact with the leather. I also secured the form of the spine ridges by holding it down with thread, so it dries without losing its shape. At this step, I'll trim the four edges of the leather. Then I'll shave off some of its thickness so it's easier to fold and glue to the cover board. To glue the leather to the cover board, you just apply a generous amount of glue and spread it with a brush so it covers all the surface of the board in a thin layer of glue. I'll let it dry in my finishing press. I'm also placing these two rods here to keep the form of the hinge. You can use knitting needles to have the same effect. At this step, I'm going to select some headbands, and what I'm doing here is just testing for the color, which will match with the book that I'm trying to achieve here. So I'm just testing out some of the colors that I have. I'll glue them to the book block next. At this step, I'll finish gluing the leather by applying the glue and folding the remaining edges. Notice that I didn't leave too much of a brim to fold over, something you should consider if you are doing it yourself. The cover is ready to receive the book block. Here I'm pointing out that I added some finishing paper pieces so it hides some imperfections or even fingerprints left while I was gluing the leather. So I'll place the book block inside the case, respecting the 3mm edge and making the spine touch the rounded back. I'll also use a vinyl moisture blocker so it doesn't pass to the book block and warp the pages. I apply the glue all over the end paper, hold the book block against the back, and let the cover fall over the book block. Then press it down to make full contact. So I repeated the process to the other side, applying some pressure and putting some weights to press it down while it rests and let the glue dry. Here you have the results. It's a book that looks like it was bound a while ago. The aged pages add a cool ancient effect. You can try this binding technique to anything you want to make it look old, like Dungeons and Dragons quest books or spell books. You can also add scratches and beat up the cover to make it even more realistic. If you enjoy what I'm doing here, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the Page Odyssey channel for more bookbinding projects. Leave me a comment below saying what you'd like to see on the channel, and see you in the next one.